China, in the last 70 odd years, has dug itself into a hole with the beginning of the People's Republic of China in 1949. It did actually start okay as a very good socialist experiment. Farmers could have the land and they could farm and they could do free will related to this. But it was Mad Mao, Mao Zedong, who changed things around and wanted to go into the steel industry and had two great defeats related to its country, not with war, but with themselves. The Great Leap Forward, which people joke with saying a great leap backward, didn't help, and the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s and 1970s. And it was only President Deng in 1979 who brought China into the, you could say, 20th century into the 21st. And it's presidents or dictators like Xi Jinping who goes back to the Mao area where the rich get rich and the poor get poorer and still call it socialism even though it's capitalist. Xi Jinping, for example, has a net asset of 1.2 billion. Now, with billionaires in the world, that's pretty low. But isn't everything meant to be equal? Well, we rest our case there. This links on to things which are made in China. Now, if you had a choice between a BMW or a BYD, both top end, and you could say maybe they cost the same price, just say it like that, which one would you choose? Most people would go for the BMW because it has something which China doesn't have, which is a good reputation. It's a good car. It's a prestige car. China has tried to get into this market, and many people on YouTube will say that the BYD car is absolutely fantastic, brilliant. It's much better than Mercedes or BMW or any other electric vehicle maker like Tesla. Now, this is a very new territory and only time will tell. Like a lot of people, I won't buy a electric car. I just call them expensive and there's less parts in them, so why are they expensive? And if you want to replace the batteries, for example, in a Porsche Taycan, I think it's called, it will cost like 40 to 50 pounds, which is like 70 to $80,000. Just to change the battery, it's more than the car is worth. This is Coffee Chat, so I have brought my coffee here. Cheers. So, this is the reputation that China needs to break. Made in China. You want it to say, oh, it's made in Japan. Wow, it's got a good brand. Now, there are some things or items like a camera called Insta, which is made in China, but they don't advertise that. They just say, this is the camera, this is the company. They don't say made in China, but they show you the quality of the product. And I have one. I know it's made in China, but it's really good quality. It's been recommended by some experts related to cameras to me, and it's big wow. Another one which is made in China is the drones, the DJI, something like that. You know, the drones that you can have with the camera that flies around, etc. When people say, do you have a drone? I said, yes, I have a DJI. They go, wow, that's a really great drone and possibly the best in the world. But the company don't advertise that it's made in China. And this is the concept that's got to change, because as soon as you're going to buy a TV, what are you going to buy? You're either going to buy like a Sony or you're going to buy a Samsung, Japanese or Korean. But if it was Chinese, you go, and it's the same price, you go, well, yeah, but it's that reputation, okay? And that's what they need to break, and that's why China needs to stop lying. When they say there's the alleviation of poverty, which we covered before, you go to the slums in Shanghai. Yes, there are slums in Shanghai. It's difficult to find on the internet, but you can find them, or you can go there yourself and try to break away from the tourist attractions and the night lights of the city, which looks very spectacular. But there are poor people and there are people in poverty in Shanghai. It's just not advertised, it's swept under the carpet. Now, if China was honest about this and says, yes, we do have poverty and this is what we're trying to do, but, and then you can show that in real life. And then people, journalists, you and I can see this and say, oh, they're doing a good job. But it's not just in one village. It has to be, you could say, in lots of different villages. And to give that freedom of the press to the people, or the freedom of speech to say, because every country has good things and bad things. China is not this Shangri-La state. But people don't want to talk about it, let's say, on social media, because they can get into trouble with the authorities there. So it's just his reputation, and people don't want to talk about it. Yeah? Now, you can buy an iPhone, or, let's say an iPhone. And this is a product made in China. It's actually physically made in China, but it's under the Apple Corporation. So you're going to have people from America, from the Apple Corporation there in China, making sure the quality is there. Now, if it was something that was made in China by a Chinese company, they may do it quite cheaply because they can afford to do it, but it's not going to be the same. Now, if it's a lot cheaper, for example, a Oppo phone, you can pick up an Oppo phone for, let's say, a relatively good one for $150. It's okay, made in China by Chinese people, and it costs $150. But if they charged, you could say, over $1,000 for that phone, you would be really disappointed with it. So it's a different market there. But the product does work. It's okay, but it doesn't have the quality. You would say within, I don't know, a couple of years, you would have some problems. I had a phone from China called Vivo before. It cost like $200. And within about a year, the battery started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So much so that it started to break the outer case. Quite simply, we just took that battery out of, a phone company here took it out and put in a brand new battery. Yes, guess what? The battery is made in China, and it's not used anymore because my wonderful, beautiful partner, Sophie, decided to drop it on the floor. So I bought her another phone. It was made in China. This time it's by a company called Redmi, or MI. I think it's the same corporation of Xiaomi. It's okay, it works, but it shouldn't be advertised as good as an iPhone, because it's way beyond that. But this is the quality of it. Can you see what I'm trying to say? We've got to, you want to say, wow, I just got this phone from China and it's great, it's brilliant. And more companies need to do this. Not to say it's all shiny and new, first of all, but then after a couple of years, it's a bit, knackered. Can I say that word? Like that. I think I need some more coffee with this. China from the 1970s, as I mentioned before, just had this bad reputation, and it's really difficult to shake off. I'm sure you had a plastic toy car in the 1970s, for example, and the wheels fell off, and your dad or whoever may have said, made in China. It's a cheap plastic toy. It lasted for a couple of weeks or whatever, then it broke. The thing is, if you bought something that was like 10 cents more, it would have been made in America, and it would be, you could say, a better quality, because that company wants not wants you to come back. It feels like China doesn't want to have repeat customers. This t-shirt, I think, was possibly made in Thailand, but it's made by a Thai company, I do believe. All around you, we do have things which are made in China. But if it's made in China with a good company that has the quality in mind, then bam, it's fine. But it shouldn't really be advertised that it's made in China, because people are just going to go, oh, really? And that's the attitude which is really difficult to shake. So companies that, like, I could say, the camera company, I don't have it, it's in my bag at the moment, that is a really good camera. They just say it's an Insta, and then later you may find out it's made in China. And I haven't had any problems with it. It works really well, and the quality is there, and it's the same price as a GoPro. I'm sure I mentioned this before. So what are your comments? Basically, if China just told the truth that they have crime, they have corruption, they have it's not a Shangri-La state. They do produce these BYD cars, and they're all shiny on the surface, and they do have great electronics inside it, but how long is it going to last? And if something bad did happen to BYD, it shouldn't be concealed and again swept under the carpet. It should be open. You could say, like most companies, they may, you could say, make a mistake with a car, and that car would be recalled. If there was a mistake with BYD, then it wouldn't be possibly recalled. It would be the owner's job to take it back to BYD for to be fixed, if that gets my if you get the idea. You may notice I'm not a big fan of electric cars, and BYD is the biggest in the market. I wouldn't say it's the best. I would still say Tesla to that, because they've been doing it a lot longer. Would I buy a Tesla? No. Would I buy a BYD? No, until both of them have a better reputation. Electric cars, unfortunately, are going to be the future, but they've got a long way to go, especially with the battery life, and batteries are just a pain in the backside. You may have an iPhone which is 5 years old. You can't change the battery like in an old Nokia, so to speak. So, oh, battery's a bit old, but you go to the phone shop, can I have a new battery? Done. It has to be done in a shop. And how do you know that battery you're buying is good quality? With the Vivo phone, when we changed the battery, yeah, the battery was made in China. That was replaced. It did work for a while, and then the phone got dropped, so that was the end of that one. It's not a big deal. It was sort of like a backup system. My girlfriend and I, we use sort of like the iOS system, but you do need sometimes the Android system as well, so hence a cheap phone there. So let's see how long the phone we have made in China called Redmi or MI or Xiaomi, see how long it lasts. Do I have anything else to say? I wanted to do to show the honesty, but I looked through my channel, found I sort of have made a similar video. And have you had any experiences with let's say a mobile phone from China, and you love it? It's 5 years old and it's still working well, and you've had no issues with it. Have you got that? I have a old iPhone 5S from 2013, 2014. It still works. The battery hasn't got bigger. I can charge it up. I can use it. That's quality for me. I'm in the market for a new car. No way can I afford a new car, but I am in the market for one. I wouldn't even consider or even think about a Chinese car. Years ago, I wouldn't even consider a Korean car. Now I might, because it's got better over time. What I'm in the market for would be here in Asia, it's just going to be Toyota. There's two that I like, and the reviews are very good, but I've also seen reviews about the negative and the positive. When you see a Chinese BYD, it's only the positive. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, look at this. Oh, fantastic. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, it can go 1,000,000 miles before you have to recharge the battery. You don't see, or it's difficult to find the negative. And the BYD enthusiasts would say you're completely wrong. It's being open, it's being honest, it's don't hide things. A lot of you are American citizens, and a lot of you are from like 55 to 85 years old. You just want things to work. Why do I buy Apple products? Yes, they are very expensive, but they have the quality, and I've used them for years and years, and they never really let me down. I don't know how many window computers I bought, and the battery gets really hot, or the screen goes, or because it gets hot, some glue melts, and this function doesn't happen, and it would cost so much money for it to get repaired, you just go out and buy another one. With Apple, even though these products may be made in China under the guidance and the supervision of Apple HD in Silicon Valley, wherever it is in California, it's still supervised with that. So these computers just work for me, so you don't need to reset or go to Google to find out a problem or buy some extra software or hardware to make it work. Can you get the gist? Now, I may sound awful, and you may say, this is a complete muppet or buffoon, what I'm saying. But this is just the experience of a 55-year-old person, me, for example. So it just needs you could say, to take away the shortcut. Just because it's shiny and new at first, great, fantastic. But if it's a really expensive item, like a car, you want this car to last a long time. Last year, I bought a Honda motorbike or scooter. It has the latest technology like traction control. It's got torque control, all these kind of things added in, which makes it a really nice ride. Now, my other two motorbikes here, one was Indian, and that was okay. I did manage to sell that for, I think, about $2,000, and it cost me $3,000 to buy. And the other one was Italian, called Bellini, which I found out was owned by a Shanghai company. And then after 2 years, it just started to have lots of problems, like the sensors stopped working. What else happened? The computer inside just decided to work when it wanted to. So I was very lucky, and I managed to get rid of that. This Honda that I got, that has a great reputation for motorbikes, just works and works and, well, works again. And you would say you have worry-free motoring. I can change the oil every 1,000 kilometers. It costs me $5.50. I can change the gear oil every 4,000 kilometers. It's going to cost me $2.50. What else? I get free service for 2 years, and the parts, if anything goes, are not so expensive, but it's of a high quality. It's not made in China. It's a product of Japan. So wherever it's made, I don't really care. It's a product of Japan. The location may be made in China, but it's going to be the quality of Honda. China doesn't have that, but China needs to achieve that before we start to feel proud. You could say, Or I have a car made in China. Wow, that's really nice. That's what they need. But at the moment, because it's still doing the same kind of thing in China, is like, I've got, my car is made in China. Why? Yeah. It's a difficult thing to do, but that's what China needs to do to get that reputation before it can go any further in life. I've waffled on for about 20 minutes, and do be aware of when you are buying something and it is rather expensive. Is it a international company like Sony, Panasonic, Toyota, Ford, even Ford, I would say, Chrysler, etc., etc. Yeah? Doesn't matter where it's actually made, because it's under the supervision of a big company that does, hopefully, take care of its customers, because they do want their customer to buy another car, maybe in another 10 years. Excuse me. I have never owned a Toyota before. I've had a British car called a Humber. I've had 1, 2, 3 American cars, and they were all done by Ford. And the Fords were fine. Something was wrong. I don't like the Ford that they can't repair anything, and they just say, oh, just have to replace it. Can't repair it. Yeah? And that's what I don't like. But it runs and runs and runs and runs, and it goes on and on and on. Same with Toyota. Yeah? But this doesn't happen in China, and it's only time will tell with car companies like BYD whether they're going to be as good as their competition, and are they worth the same value of money. But at the moment, if you were going to buy a Chinese car, you would expect it to be cheaper. You wouldn't expect it to be the same price as, again, a Ford, because then Ford has been around for a long time. Now, I know many people go, oh, I can't stand Ford, whatever, but I'm just doing it as an example. It's been around for a long time, and it has produced the quality product, perhaps, for a long time. That's what China needs to get the reputation. And some companies, yeah, great, DJI, Insta. I'm sure there's another million companies out there. And I think the secret, I'm just repeating myself now, I think the secret is basically that they just say, this is our product. And people will go, oh, this is really good. And it only be secondary. They say, oh, it's made in China. But if it runs for a long time and it works without any hassle or problems, and it doesn't break, then you're going to buy another one of those products 2 years, 3 years down the line. If it only works for 1 year, then the battery implodes or whatever, then you go, whew, where was that made? And then China's reputation doesn't change. It just needs this reputation of being honest, not with just the products, which I've been focusing on today. It needs to be honest that it's not the Shangri-La. It's just like any other country in the majority of that, in that way that nothing, not everything is perfect, but you're happy to live there. Yeah, it's just the honesty. Now, we know that governments aren't honest from America to different places around the world, to the UK, for example. Yeah, but that's, but you could say in general, you are happy to live in America. You're happy to live in the UK. I've lived in Asia for 30 years. I came to Asia not on holiday, but actually to work, and just sort of stayed here. I find it really alien to go and go on holiday or to go and visit my sisters in the United Kingdom. I just find it weird, actually. So everyone is individual related to that. So you may be saying, I'm shooting myself in the foot. No, it's okay, it's still there. With those kind of sayings. So I've spoken for about 25 minutes and waffled on, and I'm not doing any editing with this video. This is directly on my iPhone, and I will just post this without any editing onto YouTube if I haven't made any mistakes by then. So do consider to like, do subscribe, do check your subscription, and if anyone's got to this time of the video, well, congratulations, you probably finished your cup of coffee by now. Then if you are wealthy and rich and want to donate for my holiday to Thailand, then we do have super thanks there. We do have a Patreon account, and if you want to become a member, then all the links are in the description below. And please do leave some comments. Do you think I'm an absolute fruitcakes? Or does it make sense? And if anyone is Chinese, for example, in China or Hong Kong or Taipei or the ABC, like born in America Chinese, and these are your roots, what are your points of view? Would you agree? Would you disagree? Am I talking a load of baloney? Am I talking a complete load of rubbish? Or does it make sense? Or are there other countries there? Would you buy a made in America product? Would you buy a made in the UK product? Would you buy made in, I don't know, Italy or Morocco or the Sudan? I'm just picking these at random. Is it important where the actual product is made? Or is it just cost cutting? Or is it important that it is made in China or it's not made in China? Is it a Chinese product made in China, or is it like an American product made in China to reduce costs so the company can get fatter, but they still charge us the same price? It's like Shark Tank in here. I will leave it there for now. Have a happy day. Food for thought for your morning or your afternoon or your evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will just turn the camera around because what you can see over there is Tokyo. Listening to every word. He's sort of like the executive director of this show, making sure everything is in place. Is everything okay, Toki? Yeah, silence is golden, which is good. Happy day. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.